The sun was beginning to dip below the horizon, casting a fiery glow over the desolate stretch of highway. A group of bikers, rough and rowdy, cruised through the empty road on their rumbling motorcycles, the sound of engines roaring in the cool evening air. They had been riding all day, pushing their limits, and the fatigue from the journey was starting to show. Among them was a particularly boisterous biker, a man named Dirk, known for his bravado and love for picking fights. His leather jacket, decorated with patches boasting of past conquests, flapped in the wind as he sped ahead of the pack, his eyes scanning the horizon for anything interesting. He spotted a lone figure up ahead, a woman in tactical gear, walking down the road with a calm, confident stride. "Looks like we've got ourselves a loner," Dirk said to his crew with a mischievous grin. "She's either lost or looking for trouble." The group of bikers slowed as they approached her, their tires crunching over the gravel. They circled around her like wolves, eyeing their prey, revving their engines loudly to get her attention. The woman didn't flinch. She kept walking, her face set in a stern, unwavering expression. Her combat boots kicked up dust as she moved, her posture erect and purposeful. She seemed unbothered by the surrounding noise, which only seemed to fuel Dirk's arrogance. "You lost, sweetheart?" Dirk called out, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "You look like you could use a ride." The woman didn't look up. She didn't acknowledge him. "Hey, I'm talking to you," Dirk barked, his tone escalating as he veered his bike closer to her. Finally, the woman stopped and turned to face him. Her eyes were cold and piercing, unfazed by the confrontation. "Do you have a problem, sir?" she asked, her voice calm but carrying an edge of authority that seemed to halt Dirk in his tracks. "Problem?" Dirk snorted. "I'm just offering you a ride. It's not safe out here for a lady like you." There was a long pause. The bikers were watching, amused by the woman's silence. She could have easily ignored them, but she was sizing up the situation, weighing her options. Then, with a flick of her wrist, she unstrapped a small bag from her back and dropped it onto the ground. Dirk's smile widened. He was about to make his move. But before he could open his mouth, the woman took a step forward, her posture shifting. The next moment, everything changed. In an instant, the woman had moved with a speed and precision that left Dirk and his crew stunned. She grabbed his bike by the handlebars, pulling it toward her, and in a single fluid motion, she flipped him off the seat, sending him crashing onto the asphalt. The other bikers froze, their mouths hanging open. "What the hell?" one of them muttered, but before they could react, the woman was already in action again. She was no longer just a woman on the side of the road. She was a force of nature, moving like a predator. The bikers tried to circle her, but she was too fast, too trained. One by one, they were taken down either with expertly placed pressure points, a swift kick, or an incapacitating lock. She moved with military precision, each movement calculated and lethal. Dirk, still sprawled on the ground, groaned and tried to get up, but he wasn't fast enough. She was already on top of him, her knee in his chest, her gaze cold and unrelenting. "You picked the wrong person to mess with," she said, her voice a low growl. I didn't know." "I'm sorry," Dirk stammered, his bravado gone in an instant. The woman stood, dusting off her hands. She didn't speak, but her eyes spoke volumes, a silent warning to the others. The bikers, now realizing their grave mistake, took a collective step back. They had no idea who this woman was, but they knew they weren't dealing with just any ordinary civilian. Without saying another word, the woman turned and continued walking down the road, her footsteps purposeful, as if the encounter had never even happened. The sound of engines revving filled the air again, but this time, the bikers didn't move to chase her. They stood there speechless, unsure of what to do next. Dirk stood up slowly, wincing from the pain, his pride shattered. The other bikers looked at each other, their faces a mix of disbelief and respect. "You ever see a woman move like that?" one of them asked quietly. "No," Dirk muttered, still shaken. "I don't think she's just a woman." And they would be right. What they hadn't known, what they couldn't have known, was that the woman was no ordinary traveler. She was a retired Navy SEALA woman who had seen things most men could never imagine. Her training, her years of service, had made her not just capable, but formidable. She had survived missions in some of the world's most dangerous places, fought alongside the best, and emerged victorious every time.